Now, I think that we could all really agree here that the Acolyte Episode 3 is, if not the worst thing in Star Wars history, it is the worst thing that we have seen in television history. This is something that was so bizarre that came from Leslye Headland, Dave Filoni, and yes, it came from Dave Filoni as well, because he wrote notes on the actual episode, as well as Kathleen Kennedy, who made all of that possible, who shoehorned this into the Acolyte series that led to the boring episode that is Episode 4, that serves as a filler episode in a short 8-episode series. Makes no sense. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, we all know that Leslye Headland, Amandla Stenberg, Kathleen Kennedy, and among others out there, they are going to defend the Acolyte like no tomorrow. Alright, we got 4 episodes left. I know I mentioned this before in the last post, but we have everything wrapping up around July 16th, when the Acolyte comes to its conclusion. Now, that's not the end of 2024, by the way, when it comes to Star Wars. We have another one called Skeleton Crew, another upcoming Star Wars show by Kathleen Kennedy for this holiday season. I don't think it's going to do well, to be honest. We have a lot more to talk about that. But moving on forward, when this now involves Amandla Stenberg yet again, and what's been going on behind the scenes with all of the Lucasfilm Disney drama, and how this involves the loss of millions of dollars on Amandla Stenberg's part, has more to do, of course, with the Acolyte brand itself. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, we already know that the Acolyte is by far the worst scenario than The Last Jedi. I think that we have never seen a backlash like this before. It really outperforms what happened back in 2017. However, with the Acolyte, is Lucasfilm's, of course, worst failure yet under Disney right now. Already those like Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and the Disney heads have been heading into damage control over the Acolyte. Now, one major development now has much to do with the Acolyte actress Amandla Stenberg after a recent development at Lucasfilm and Disney happened after the ongoing Acolyte Backlash. Now, in a recent emergency meeting that took place at the Walt Disney Company to cancel multiple Star Wars projects connected to the Acolyte series, this already reportedly resulted in Amandla Stenberg's multi-million-dollar deal getting ripped apart to shreds behind the scenes, where initially she was set to actually star in 2 Acolyte spin-off series that would also, of course, include the Acolyte Season 2, that would also serve as side stories to the Acolyte, and like I said before, Season 2 of the Acolyte as well, all of which were going to adapt the High Republic era in different times, and were going to be led by Leslye Headland as the showrunner once more. The specifics of this is what Stenberg, of course, was reportedly in the final stages of her contract agreement of her multi-million-dollar Star Wars deal that was going to go as high as, get this, $15 to $16 million altogether. With the Acolyte spin-off series now cancelled and Acolyte Season 2 in shambles already, this is already creating massive backlash from those like Amandla Stenberg, Leslye Headland, and Kathleen Kennedy now, battling Disney to reinstate those shows. Stenberg already reportedly played the race card, not a big shocker there, as well to the Disney executives after they outright canceled the Acolyte spin-off shows. Stenberg reportedly created a ton of drama behind the scenes, claiming that her contract was final, when in reality it was not finished yet by the Disney heads, including Bob Iger, the CEO, who backtracked on expanding the Acolyte-oriented TV shows with both Amandla Stenberg and Leslye Headland's names attached. Now, Headland also lost a multi-million-dollar deal, as we previously talked about this last week. However, Stenberg reportedly took this very seriously and personally at Lucasfilm, and Disney is doing everything in their power, of course, to keep that going, as Lucasfilm is doing everything in their power to reinstate those projects. Now, of course, reportedly, Amandla knows that the Acolyte brand is already shot, of course, to expand, but DEI, Bob Iger wants to expand their DEI agenda and are now embracing other TV shows that will promote DEI by different actresses and actors, along with other showrunners, to take over. Amandla Stenberg is also willing to take a legal approach now and is already beginning to have those conversations, claiming that Disney interrupted an already agreed upon contract, which wasn't the case. Disney executives, however, know that the whole deal was not finished. It even got to a point that Stenberg was demanding more than $15 million, which ultimately is what actually made Disney back away from her for her 4 Star Wars project deal, which was also going to involve cameos in other upcoming Star Wars shows, video games, and more related to this era of Star Wars. Now, like I said before, guys, before I move on, the thing about Amandla Stenberg, and you can see it in her latest music video on Instagram that obviously is dissing Star Wars fans, that she is very egotistical, she really is out of touch with reality, she is a stubborn individual, and very much, I would say, self-absorbed. That's pretty much a great sum of how you can really explain her personality. Very self-absorbed, very much a know-it-all. You know, this is one that says that Star Wars fans have no idea what they're talking about when they're questioning things like the Acolyte. So, when you have someone like Amandla Stenberg that was going to make upward, of course, 15 to 16 million, alright? That amount, I think, is a lot, even for an actress like herself just getting into Star Wars. And we've seen the figures that Daisy Ridley got for the sequel trilogy. I don't even think Amandla Stenberg deserves that much. But the fact that she was demanding more than $15 to $16 million for a 4 Star Wars project deal that was, by the way, not films, but television, is just absurd. So it makes no sense at all. And the fact that you have this back and forth now between Kathleen Kennedy, Leslye Headland, and Amandla Stenberg all grouping together, battling the Disney heads to really pull a desperate move to get them to reinstate those projects, it's not going anywhere. Now, let's be clear. The main reason why Bob Iger pulled away from those projects, it wasn't just limited to how the Acolyte is drastically underperforming. It had a lot to do with the fact that Amandla Stenberg was also being very problematic behind the scenes when it came to financial differences, creative differences, and among other problems out there. It also had to do with the fact that the High Republic is just not resonating with fans at all. This is why they literally canceled a High Republic trilogy that was going to be debuting on Disney Plus for the years to come. They wanted to experiment with actual Star Wars movies specifically made for streaming, which I thought would have failed to begin with, to be honest with you guys. Star Wars, if you're making a movie, it belongs in the theaters. End of story. And, you know, need I say it now? Star Wars really should just exist in the form of film. The first time they debuted it with TV shows such as The Mandalorian, I first thought to myself, I'm not really quite sure about that. And yeah, sure, they've had their moments, good moments, sure, but I just think that Star Wars is really just catered and born to be placed into the movie theaters. That's where it's supposed to be. But overall, I think that a lot of fans are just fed up. I have been fed up for the past 2.5 years. I really don't care about Star Wars anymore. On a positive level, by the way. I'm not one that invests in Star Wars movies. I'm not one that looks forward to anything Star Wars, but I will talk about all the shenanigans that's going on over at Disney, because it's very important for a lot of people to know about that. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.